light comes your Harris Horror Hour podcast on this dark and stormy night. Welcome to the Harris Horror Hour, Episode 5, the Hooks and Chainsaws edition. I'm your host this week, A Clockwork Chrissy. I'm here with...
Bloodbath Bobby. Hey, yo.
And Raging Rose.
And this week our movies are the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Hellraiser.
The original Texas Chainsaw.
The original. Very important. 1974.
It's the only one that matters.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Two.
Yeah.
Two's pretty good.
You can't leave Bill Moseley out.
Leatherface ain't that bad.
No.
But when you get the next generation, you gotta just take a gun out back.
It should have been aborted.
I honestly haven't seen that one, so I really don't know.
You're not missing anything.
And with Matthew McConaughey being in it, that kind of just kills it for me anyway, and I kind of never want to see it anyway.
He plays crazy good. I think it's
I don't
Renee
care what he
Zellweger that
plays
kills
good.
that movie.
He fucking sucks, regardless of what he plays good.
Well,
I'm so tired of everybody being on his dick.
Well, anyways, the remakes were okay also, and so was 3D. I enjoyed that.
Oh,
even though acting was bad in that, but you can't really ask much.
I could have did without the get 'em codes.
Whatever. He got them.
We'll get to that one day, but...
Eventually.
We're not talking about
today
any
we're
of that.
about the original
We're
Texas Chainsaw
the
Massacre.
launch of this series.
Okay, so we're gonna stop our debating for now till after we fully discuss the movie. So let's go into our recent views. Bloodbath Bobby, what is your recent views?
Son of a bitch. Critters 1 and 2, because the power of the night.
Jesus.
Then I watched The Pit, which is a movie I told you about a while back. And I bought the motherfucker for about $25 because it's out of print.
You stupid fucker.
It's as good as I remember.
It was still worth it.
Yeah, it was worth my $25. Martin, because that's a movie.
Oh, God.
The Toolbox Murders, the original, which wasn't bad. It was actually pretty good. I liked it. The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, another good one, underrated. The Tales from the Dark Side movie, which I watched with Clockwork Chrissy.
Yes.
Freddy vs. Jason, which I watched with Clockwork Chrissy.
Yes.
And Child's Play, which I watched with Clockwork Chrissy.
Yep.
And then The Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Still can't believe you just heard that song.
That kicked off my Halloween watch, as I'm going to try to get 31 movies in. So, and that is it for me.
Okay. Raging Rose.
Well, my recent views, because I had to refresh myself for this episode, people made me open the box up. And
You opened it, we came.
I don't like to open a box, because once I start watching Hellraiser,
Come to daddy.
that's it. So I wound up watching the first three of them. We watched Nightbreed to refresh that also.
I forgot about Nightbreed. I
Yeah.
watched Nightbreed also.
And let me think. Recently, I've also watched Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy vs. Jason, Cloverfield, and I mean...
What do you think about Cloverfield?
One that I've actually... Cloverfield I like.
Alright.
I like that. One I actually just recently watched that I've never seen before and always was kind of iffy about was Monkey Shines.
Good?
George Romero. I've never seen it before.
Better than Martin?
And yes, Martin was terrible.
I
thought it was really stupid.
Some of the imagery in it was good, but Angry Al was telling me she felt sympathetic for him. And I'm like, how can you feel bad for him? He's a murderer.
I felt like when I was watching, I was just like, when is this going to be over with? So, but Monkey Shines was really good. Really good.
Have to check it out.
Okay. Well, my recent views are movies I've seen a billion times, pretty much. It's Silence of the Lambs, Maximum Overdrive, Child's Play, The Shining, and Freddy vs. Jason. I also watched Tales from the Dark Side movie for the first time, which was pretty good. For some reason, tortured myself and watched I Still Know What You Did Last Summer and wanted to shoot myself in the face. And also watched Halloween 2 by Rob Zombie.
Now, I got a question. What was your favorite story from the Tales from the Dark Side?
It's a tough one, Bob.
Yeah. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I do mean to put you on the spot.
Steve Buscemi one was pretty good.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say about that.
I like the one with the gargoyles. That was that, right?
With Raiden, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. With Raiden, or you may know him as Ajax, the creep from Warriors.
Yeah, that was pretty good too.
Yeah, I like that one.
I can't picture Ajax as anybody else though besides Ajax. So.
What are you doing, lady?
Oh, I forgot to mention also. I watched. They just put it on Netflix, The Sacrament. I tried to give that a rewatch, and I love Ty West movies, but...
Why did you watch the stuff about Jim Jones's... I mean, I know that's what they ripped it off of.
No, I didn't watch that. We were watching that. We started watching that, but no, I didn't.
Okay. Well, now we're going to go into our first movie's trailer, which is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
What happened was true. The most bizarre and brutal series of crimes in America. This is the movie that is just as real, just as close, just as terrifying as being there. Even if one of them survives, what will be left? The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. After you stop screaming, you'll start talking about it.
Okay, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out in 1974. This year it's actually celebrating its 40th anniversary. It came out on Blu-ray, and there's a special edition Black Maria Blu-ray, which is actually a truck that's in the end of the movie. So if you've seen it, you know what we're talking about. So the movie was directed by Tobe Hooper. It was also written by Tobe Hooper and Kim Henkel, who loosely based it off real-life serial killer Ed Gein. And it stars Marilyn Burns, who recently passed away, Edwin Neal, and Gunnar Hansen as Leatherface. So the IMDb description is, 5 friends visiting their grandfather's house in the country are hunted and terrorized by a chainsaw-wielding killer and his family of grave-robbing cannibals. Okay. Anything you guys want to add before?
No.
Nah, the synopsis sounds dead on.
Yeah. Alright, so the movie opens with its opening intro, which is like kind of a warning thing. And starts off with a radio report about a bunch of crypts in the cemetery being emptied because grave robbers.
Grave robbing in Texas continues today.
Sally, who is played by Marilyn Burns, she's like the main character pretty much of everybody. Her and her brother Franklin are traveling with Sally's boyfriend and 2 friends. And they're going to visit their grandfather's house in Texas. So they end up having to pull over because Franklin, who's in a wheelchair, he has to pee. So it's a big hassle back in 1974 dealing with someone who's in a wheelchair because you didn't have the lifts and stuff. So they gotta get him in and out. It's hot as shit. So, that doesn't help when he's a heavy guy.
I mean, Texas.
Texas heat. It's hot.
Yeah.
He's heavy. He's a little bit bitter and baby, crying about everything, bickering. So, he ends up falling down a hill where he was peeing at, so then they gotta go get him, and then he's just crying and crying and crying. So, when they go to their house, their grandfather's house, Franklin ends up telling them about the whole slaughterhouse that's nearby and how, they kill the cows and stuff like that. So, they were having fun with that on their ride. The girls were back then, not being able to handle stuff. So, they end up running by a hitchhiker and they end up picking him up, which isn't very smart to do, ever. But back then, people were more trusting and all. But they should have let this guy just stay there.
Really, if you look at that guy, would you pick him up?
No.
Like,
No.
What the fuck? This is how... I know, it wasn't, as cliche as it is now, but...
He looked like a creeper.
Yeah, it's this is how a horror movie starts.
Obviously.
Yeah.
So, the hitchhiker ends up getting Franklin's knife from him, and, he ends up cutting his own hand open. Like it's, nothing. Just bleeding a little bit. So, he takes a picture of Franklin in the van and wants him to pay him for the picture.
It's a good picture.
Yeah.
That'd be $2.
So he just randomly took a picture and wants money for it. So he ends up burning the picture inside the van and cuts Franklin's arm with his own knife. And then he ends up getting out, and he ends up rubbing the van with his bleeding hand, pretty much marking it with his blood, so maybe someone will know that that's the van. So they end up going to a gas station nearby, and they come across this old guy there who doesn't have really much gas because... in the middle of Texas, obviously he doesn't do his job and fill them up.
Yeah, what kind of gas station you running, buddy?
And tells them, they don't want to be messing around that way. So they leave the gas station, and they finally end up at their grandfather's house. And Franklin starts getting freaked out by the way that the hitchhiker marked the van with his blood. And, they're like... he's just, mocking, like, oh, come on, Franklin, it's gonna be a fun trip, blah, blah, blah. And, here he's having this awful trip, he fell down a hill, he gets cut, runs into a psycho, all this good stuff. So, Pam and Kirk end up going off on their own because Franklin said that there was, a lake or something nearby to his grandfather's house. So they end up leaving the house and going off into the wilderness, and they come across this other house, and they find a human tooth. I think it was on the ground, right?
Yeah.
By like a swing. So, I think they needed something, and also...
They went to get gas.
Yeah, because they were out of gas because of the gas station. So Kirk went to go knock on the door, and, you know, back then you could trust people, so it's just a screen door, the regular door is open, you know. So this guy just decides, I'm just going to walk in this house. So he walks like a good, probably like 20 feet in, and then he meets Leatherface and Meat Mallet, pretty much.
And I don't know about you ladies, but that has to be one of the most iconic kills ever.
I have to agree with you on that.
And the way he shuts that door afterwards, like the body's twitching after that hit.
Definitely, we're not expecting that.
Yeah. Well, also, I think it's 1974, so it's before a lot of the other iconic slashers even came out, so...
It's honestly a pretty vicious-looking shot.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And very well acted by Kirk.
I mean, even seeing this movie as many times as I did, just seeing that little clip, oh, man. God. That's got to be a shitty way to go.
Yeah, I would say so. So... Back outside, Pam's wondering what's taking Kirk so long, so she ends up going into the house too. But she goes into a whole nother room, and there's human bones all over the place, literally. So, Leatherface also captures her when she was trying to run out the door, which that's a pretty, that scene's always remembered by people too. Mm-hmm. For the first one.
Well, you kind of get Leatherface, like, giggling almost, like, no,
I think that was more like his retardness.
Yeah. But that room, though, I mean, the fucking furniture made out of bones. Yeah. That's a creepy fucking room.
Just a bit. Yeah. Just a bit. So, she ends up getting put on a giant meat hook to hang.
Another iconic scene in this movie.
That had to hurt really bad. So, anyways, back at the van, Jerry leaves to find Kirk and Pam because it's dark now. You can't see nothing. They're in the middle of nowhere again, you know. So, he ends up going off. He finds the house. Enters the house also. It's like no one knows how to knock. They just walk in when someone doesn't answer them, you know.
Yeah, go into someone else's house, breaking and entering.
So, he ends up finding Pam, who's in a giant deep freezer. So, he also ends up meeting Leatherface and his awesome meat mallet.
Yeah.
But a scream of the dude. Jerry,
it was a straight shriek.
Yeah, it was like a woman screaming. Like,
well, I mean,
it's terrifying.
You're scared as shit. You're seeing a dude wearing fucking someone else's face. He's bigger than you. Obviously, your fucking friend's in the freezer. You don't know where your other friend is yet.
Like, do you even notice the face? Like, the human skin? Or do you just notice some big motherfucker with a meat mallet?
I'm not Kirk. I'm not that... No, Jerry. That's Jerry.
Yeah, Jerry.
I'm not that stupid to walk into someone's fucking house randomly.
Not. Oh, no one's home. Time to go.
Okay. Go on my way. You know. Not gonna walk in, like...
Now, Rose, what would you do if you found me in a freezer like that?
If I found you in a freezer like that? I don't know.
And you turned and you see Leatherface.
And I turned and saw Leatherface,
I'd be like, yo, I bet this guy tastes really good. Let's get him cooking.
Sure.
Well, it depends. Like, if I saw him kill other people, then I'm gonna be really fucking scared. But if I didn't, and I walk in like Jerry did and see my friends dead in there, I'm gonna be flipping out.
Yeah, well, Jerry didn't even get a chance to put up a fight.
Not really.
Turn.
It was too much shock to take in that quickly to react for him.
But even afterwards, you see Leatherface looking around confused, like he's flipping out.
Well, I mean, there was no dinner. Now he's got 3 dinners.
That's a good point. I think, like, he's not used to that down there. Like, they're so secluded.
Well, yeah, people just waltzed it in.
Yeah.
I doubt they had, like, a phone where someone called, like, hey, there's some kids around, they might stop by.
Most of the time, I think they probably have to go hunt for food, and now they didn't have
to. It's coming to their front door,
came right inside of their house.
Well, all 3 of them came in the house, and Leatherface just thinking, like, man, don't people fucking knock it?
Yeah, maybe
rude. I can't even take my apron off to come answer the door.
Right, maybe that's why he was mad, Maybe that's why he killed him. Like, I'm gonna show these fuckers tonight.
He was about to take a nap. All he hears is a storm door slam 3 times. Like, what the fuck? Can't a guy get sleep?
He's got some punk-ass teenagers in his house.
Someone could come in and steal my lamp made out of bones,
That's one thing, though. I don't know if we mentioned him at all, but the set designer, much props to him, man.
Yeah.
This movie just feels so gritty because of the environment.
I know that some of the bones are real bones because
they're cheaper.
Indian skeletons are so much cheaper. I know that's how it was for one of the poltergeists too.
The first one.
Yeah, they had real skeletons. I'm like, it's crazy.
Hey, man.
It's a little bit.
It beats a plastic one, I guess.
A realistic plastic one too. They're expensive as shit.
Yeah, I'll take a human one over that any day.
So, moving on from Bobby's skeleton opinion. Back to the movie. Sally and Franklin end up deciding that they need to start looking for everybody because
it's dark.
They're alone in the darkness by themselves. She's a girl with her handicapped brother who can't do nothing.
He can do something.
Yeah, cry.
Sally, come on, Sally. He can whine, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Sally, I ain't got no legs. I can't walk. Motherfucker, you got legs. You just can't walk. Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
Jesus.
Franklin. I hate Franklin.
I love Franklin.
Yeah.
He plays the part.
Yeah, he did. Definitely did.
I'm sorry, if I was her and Leatherface was coming at me, I'd shove him into fucking Leatherface. Take him!
I mean, we'll get to that. So, they end up going to search. So, poor Sally, it's dark. They got her shitty-ass flashlight that barely works. And she's trying to push Franklin through woods, which wheelchair, dirt, grass, tree branches, everything.
280-pound brother.
110 degrees still at night. Not really a good,
80-pound
good
salad.
idea at all. So they're going through the woods, and Franklin wants her to stop because he's hearing something. So you get a little chainsaw going there, and Franklin ends up not hearing nothing much longer.
Poor Franklin.
Getting it right in the gut.
I
Tearing
wonder
up
if
your
he could've
intestine,
hit-
stomach flying.
If he could have hit like a Zach Morris timeout type deal,
Timeout.
I'd have just loved to hear what Franklin had to say. Like, oh, you gotta be kidding me! This guy coming at me with the chainsaw. I'm gonna die. Sally!
Shit, I wish I could run.
Sally! This scene is scary.
It is.
It is scary. If you don't know what's coming, it is fucking scary.
And poor Sally, I mean, one, even though her brother's an annoying piece of shit,
It's
I'm
her
sure
brother.
that's not good seeing your brother get chainsawed up like that. I don't know another way to say it.
Well, a lot of people...
Filleted.
Yeah, pretty much. Gutted like a fish. A lot of people say how graphic this movie is. You said with the hammer, the meat mallet, you didn't really see any blood with that.
The hook, you really didn't see nothing
The
either.
hook, you didn't see everything. It was
You
left to the
just-
imagination.
Yeah.
This kill with Franklin, you do see some blood squirting on Leatherface.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Yeah. But, like we said, 1974, not as many horror movies out yet, so...
This scene is...
This was probably, like, a gore fest
This
back
scene is
then.
terrifying, honestly.
People probably throwing up in the theater.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah. So, after poor Franklin gets shut
his.
up, pretty much,
Oh,
he's finally muted once
I
and
just
for
feel
all.
for the man. He wasn't that bad of a dude. He didn't even get it the way he was talking about the cows getting it. It wasn't quick.
Yeah, he should have been a pain in the ass. What? Anyways,
They
so
kept him home.
Sally ends up running off to go find help, which, once again, Texas, middle of nowhere, your grandfather's empty house, and the Sawyer house. So she ends up at the Sawyer house, which is Leatherface's house. So, she ends up escaping there when she realizes where she's at, pretty much, and Leatherface is still after her.
Well, she, what was it? She goes up the steps.
Yeah, she goes up
She
steps.
sees the grandfather and the dead grandma.
Yes, sees the corpses upstairs.
Leatherface busts through Saul's through the door,
Yeah.
and Sally goes out the fucking window.
Yeah, she's like, fuck this,
The
I'm
second
out.
story, yeah.
I'm out.
Definitely the smartest person in a horror movie.
Yeah. So, kind of still running, but with a gimp a little bit from falling out of it, well, jumping out of a 2-story window. She ends up running off and ends up at the gas station where the old guy is, trying to tell her, oh, you're okay, there's no one out there, blah, blah, blah. So then he ends up hitting Sally with a broom multiple times, which was, it was ridiculous, but I bet that hurt.
Every time I say it, though, I can't help but laugh now.
Yeah.
When he starts mauling her with that broom, man.
Yeah.
Swatting a fly.
So he ends up putting Sally in his truck, and then he ends up finding the hitchhiker.
On the whole drive, too, he's like hitting Sally in the head with
Yeah,
like the
still
broken
hitting
The
her.
handle.
broom handle.
Yeah. The broken part from hitting her so hard with it. So, the old man ends up slapping the hitchhiker and tells him he needs to stop messing with the graves because obviously he's the one robbing all the graves around there and digging up corpses and all that crap that had to have been fun back then dealing with. So then, he yells at him, look what you did to the door! Yelling at Leatherface, because Leatherface chainsawing through their door. And, so, they end up tying Sally up to a chair and all. And, she's still out of it. So, Leatherface cuts Sally's finger, and they bring Grandpa down and let Grandpa suck on her finger, getting a little bit of blood flowing through him.
Now, Grandpa, if you had to estimate an age, what would you say he is?
I'm
150?
gonna say about 394.
Kept alive on human blood.
Yeah. Well, Grandpa supposedly is the best in the business.
Yeah.
Or used to be.
Yeah, that's what they've always said.
In 1502.
Yeah, I believe that to be true.
So, Sally wakes up and she's at a dinner table with the whole Sawyer family, which that had to have been scary enough, waking up, seeing Leatherface in your face, wearing a new face. He got all dressed up for dinner, all pretty.
He got pretty.
You got the hitchhiker who you saw earlier, so that freak's there. The old guy who you tried to trust, and then this super old grandfather.
Yeah, Father Time.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So, God, I can't imagine what she was thinking just as soon as she woke up. She started screaming, which that's a pretty good reaction, I guess. So, they end up deciding that they're gonna let Grandpa kill Sally because how he's the best in the business. So, they're trying to set this old guy up who can barely hold the meat mallet himself and try to let him bash in Sally's brains pretty much into like this nice big silver tub and get her prepped for dinner too.
Get all the good parts on it.
Yeah, all the blood. Yeah, save all the blood. So, Grandpa's one-hitter quitter.
Yeah. I bet Sally
he couldn't
wishes,
finish it no more. She did get knocked.
She got hit a couple times.
Yeah. That had to have hurt, too. Especially since, even though he's an old guy, so he didn't have that much force, but that still had to have hurt just by the weight of the mallet itself.
Just with that mallet being dropped, you might as well say a foot or two over top of her head.
Yeah.
The weight of that.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
So, Sally still pulls it together and escapes again by jumping out of a kitchen window, first floor this time. So it's not as big of a fall. So the hitchhiker and Leatherface start to chase her, and the hitchhiker ends up getting hit by a truck, which is the Black Maria Special Edition Blu-ray tractor trailer.
That scene looked good, too.
Yeah. It was pretty sweet.
Yeah. I almost felt sorry for the hitchhiker.
Whatever. So, the driver and Sally both, Sally tries to get in the truck, but then Leatherface is coming at the truck, so they both get out the side of the truck. So, Leatherface gets hit with a wrench that the driver had. And
he should get one of those cards sent to him. At least you tried.
Yeah, at least you tried. And he ends up cutting himself with his own saw in the leg a little bit, so that had to have been awesome feeling there. So the truck driver keeps driving on. And
no, he was running.
I mean, running on.
He started booking.
Yeah, running on. He left Black Maria behind.
I'll get that bitch later.
Probably went 20 feet up and hid behind a tree or something.
Even with the leg being cut of Leatherface, I think Leatherface could have called that.
Yeah, he was still chasing her.
Yeah.
I mean, she didn't have her nice little escape show up. She probably would have got away.
Yeah.
Easy, well, not away from him if her escape didn't come. That's what I meant. Any final thoughts? Ending of the movie.
Why don't you go, Raging Rose? Nothing?
Nothing
to say about this.
I love this movie. That's all I can really say about it. I don't have anything negative or
How
nothing.
much therapy do you think Sally needed, especially after that crazy laugh she had getting out of there? Escaped, you crazy fuckers.
I think it, I don't know if that laugh was more of joy, because...
Or still scared, but trying to calm himself.
Knowing that she got away, I mean...
Got the fuck out of Dodge, dude.
Yeah.
Alright.
I just think that Franklin and the hitchhiker deserve better deaths. I really felt like I could relate to these characters. Especially the hitchhiker. I've taken a photo of someone before and they didn't want it. I just went to kill them.
You stupid
and
bastard.
Franklin, I mean, come on, what did he do wrong?
He was born.
Apparently.
He wasn't thankful for the help he was getting, you know.
He didn't
Everyone
need that
dealing
help.
with him. He couldn't push his fat self around.
It wasn't his fault. He was overfed.
Whatever. Anyways, let's get into our ratings. My rating for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's one of the first slashers. Awesome. A little gory. Pretty sweet. I'm gonna give it a 10.
I am also. Like I said, I love this movie from beginning to end. It's perfect. There's not many movies that are like that can keep you into it and gross you out at the same time. So, I give it a 10 also.
Okay.
Well, I honestly have to go with a 10 also. Like you said, from the beginning to the end, from, the photo. I guess it was like a camera snapping in the beginning. That noise, that buzz. From that and seeing like the rotten fingers and all that stuff and all that. I don't know. It just took you on a journey to something that's macabre, like just some of that stuff. Even to this day, I don't think there's been a movie that's made an impact like the original Texas Chainsaw. And like I said, it's a 10 for me, and I believe Angry Al gave it a 10 also.
Yes, she did.
So that's 4 10s across the board for us, and that should just show you, even if. Well, to me, if you've never seen this and you're
somehow
a horror
you
fan,
haven't seen it.
Yeah, if you're a horror fan, you need to seek this out and find it and watch it, because this is a movie that it's a game changer in my opinion.
Yes, definitely. It definitely influences a lot of slasher films. Also, like it's always one horrific night, and then when the morning comes, everything's over with, or, whatever. And this is kind of the first one to do that. One of the first ones, I think.
Well, us as humans, like, the darkness, we're all kind of afraid of the dark. In our own way. I'm not saying, we're all adults here, and we're not afraid of the dark, but the darkness...
It's just what it represents.
Exactly. Like, the break of day is pretty much, essentially, like Sally speaking of hope, the light,
Yep.
Sally, go into the light, Sally.
Shut up. Shut up.
Yeah. That's it for me.
Yep. Okay, so fun facts for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We already mentioned how it's loosely based off of Ed Gein, because Tobe Hooper was obsessed with that, apparently.
I mean, who wasn't?
Yeah, back then.
What movie isn't loosely based on Ed Gein? Seriously.
Yeah. And how they did use real skeletons in parts of the movie because it was cheaper than plastic skeletons back then. Also, during the dinner scene at the end of the film, when Leatherface cut Sally's finger so Grandpa could suck it, he actually really cut part of her finger because they couldn't get the fake blood to come out of the tube behind the blade. So, ow. Fun fact.
Nice.
And also, when Sally was running through the fields away from Leatherface, she was really getting cut up by the branches, so a lot of the blood on her and her clothes was her real blood. She was getting cut up. That's always nice.
Need I say, a true scream queen.
Yeah.
If ever there was someone who instilled the fear into you, she did it.
Yeah.
She made me feel bad for her.
Yeah. Also, Tobe Hooper claimed that he got the idea for the film while he was standing in line at a hardware section of a crowded store, and he was thinking of a way to get out of the crowd, and he spotted chainsaws. So, that would have been an easy way to get out. Slice and dice, baby. Oh, man. He also allowed Gunnar Hansen to develop Leatherface as he saw fit while he was supervising, pretty much, and Hansen decided that Leatherface was mentally retarded and never learned to talk properly. So that's why he pretty much, didn't say no words.
It works, though.
Yeah, it
Think if he talked
definitely
like,
did.
hey, Hitchhiker brother, we need to get Grandpa down here now.
Another fun fact, Edwin Neal, who played the hitchhiker, said that filming was more miserable than his service in Vietnam, and he might kill Tobe Hooper if he ever saw him again. So, that's nice.
Look out, Tobe Hooper, we're coming for you!
Yeah. Entertainment Weekly magazine voted this the second scariest film ever made after The Exorcist, of course. Exorcist is always number one. I don't know why, but, we're not getting into that again. Gunnar Hansen had on his boots so to make him taller, and he could still run faster than Marilyn Burns. So he had to do random things when chasing her through the woods. So you'll notice in one head-on shot that he starts slicing up tree branches in the background just to give her kind of a head start. So that's funny. At least he thought like something creative instead of just stopping and just watching her.
Oh, my shoes untied.
I don't think he had lace-up shoes. I think he probably had the straps. The
that or
Velcro
dress
straps.
shoes in the point.
Yeah. And the close-up of Leatherface cutting his leg, which is at the end of the movie, was the very last shot to be filmed, and he was wearing a metal plate over his leg, which was covered with a piece of meat and a blood bag. So they actually used a real chainsaw cutting at his leg.
Yeah.
Lucky for the metal plate.
Nice.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking scary.
I bet this still had hurt, though. It probably sent like a vibration or something.
Oh, yeah.
It had hurt the bone.
Hey, he knew, hey, get this fucking saw off me quick. Get the shot and get it done.
Yes. And Leatherface's teeth were also prosthetics that his Gunnar Hansen's dentist made specially for him for the movie. So that's cool. Back then, dentist made a prop.
You wanna go into notable mention now?
Yeah, we can go into notable mentions.
Alright.
Of course, the sequels, part 2, like we said earlier.
Lick my plate, you dog dick! Sorry. Go ahead.
It's pretty much the best one besides the first one.
Yeah, they both are. They're a great pair together. Bill Moseley, I love him, so it's awesome. His portrayal.
Even the cook, that's the only sequel that the cook comes back in. Drayton.
Yeah.
And you got Leatherface.
Yeah, and this one's kind of a comedy-ish too, because it's in the 80s.
Yeah.
Brought it back, so you know. Yeah, I mean, it had some humor in this one. It wasn't full on scary.
Dennis Hopper.
Yeah, Dennis Hopper in it.
Catherine Williams is Stretch. This Stretch.
Yeah. Bill Moseley dancing around with a corpse. That was funny, just hopping around.
But then you go into the other ones, you got Leatherface, The Next Generation, which we'll get to that one, but then you got the remake.
Yeah, the remakes.
The remake, then
The New Beginning, and also 3D.
But if you want to check out any of them, just check out part 2.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
Leatherface is good, though. The Souls family, that one, I kind of like it. It ain't that great of a story, but I like them all, personally. I'm a big Chainsaw fan.
I have seen the future of horror. His name is Clive Barker. Hellraiser. Beyond any terror you have imagined. A nightmare. Unlike anything you have witnessed. Is born. Because within these walls, the unholy is unleashed. Hellraiser, a film by Clive Barker. We'll tear your soul apart.
Okay, so obviously our second movie is Hellraiser, which was written and directed by Clive Barker. It stars Ashley Lawrence, Claire Higgins, Andrew Robinson, and awesomely Doug Bradley as Pinhead, the lead Cenobite. So, it also stars Sean Chapman. IMDb's description is: an unfaithful wife encounters the zombie of her dead lover. Demons are pursuing him after he escaped their sadomasochistic underworld. Okay, so the movie opens with Frank, who is pretty much one of the main characters. He's playing with the Lament configuration, which is this gold box, which looks awesome, but it's like the fucking hell door. Yeah. So he ends up getting hooked up, and the Cenobites arrive and end up closing the box. So that's the beginning of the movie. So then Larry, who's Frank's brother, and Julia end up checking out Frank's house because he's been missing, so they don't know what happened. So Larry gets a call from Christy, and Julia ends up going through Frank's pictures, and she ends up stealing one of him. So, that's weird. She puts it in her pocket, So, Julia has a flashback, and Frank and Julia apparently had an affair. And Julia always said she would do anything Frank wanted. So, that's great. So they're going through everything. This moving day, they're moving into Frank's house. And Larry ends up getting cut. And his blood spills onto the attic floor, but it seeps into the floor like it's sucked up by something. So the floorboards start to shake, but he's already out of the room going to get, his cut healed up. So we witness the birth of Frank, the rebirth. Frank just appears from the whole nother dimension. So, that's a crazy scene right there. The way that they did.
Coming back, the arm comes out, and then you see, his head.
Yeah.
Well, I think he was stuck in the floorboards.
Yeah, could have been.
At least his body.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the blood just seeped right into him.
That scene is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, even the way that they did the blood just seeping through the boards, in the crack.
Yeah, when his head finally comes up and it's that's a good scene.
Yes. So, a little later on, Julie ends up discovering Frank in the attic. But, Frank doesn't look the way Frank used to look. He's a big, bloody, skeleton, muscly mess, pretty much. And he tells Julia how Larry's blood soaked through the floor and brought him back. And he tells her that he needs more blood, pretty much. So, that's kind of creepy. The way he looked, too, the effects, the makeup, that was awesome.
It's pretty damn good for his time.
Yeah, 1987.
It still holds up. That special effect still holds up.
Definitely does. So, Julia ends up having another flashback and ends up telling Frank that, okay, she'll do it, she'll help him heal up pretty much.
She keeps having these flashbacks of him boning her.
Yeah. From their affair.
I guess she'd never been tapped like that before.
Well, I mean, Larry seems like a good guy.
I don't understand what the problem is about that, though.
Larry seems like one of those good guys that's kind of a square, Doesn't really have much craziness in him, and, Frank just does whatever, Maybe he taps her from the back and she likes it or something, Maybe he lets her ride, You don't know. Some people got different strokes.
Yeah.
Literally. So, anyways, Kirsty, who's Larry's daughter, ends up having a nightmare, so she calls her dad, make sure he's okay. So, Julia brings a man home from the bar when Larry isn't home, and ends up taking him upstairs, hits him with a hammer, and pretty much feeds him to Frank, pretty much. She leaves, but,
Well, that dude
Frank gets to go to town. Yeah, that guy seemed like a douchebag.
He was trying to force himself on her.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna do this, right? he got what was coming
Yeah,
from.
she did it. She gave him, end. Gave him his end. So Frank ends up, saying he's becoming whole again. Has his little "come to daddy" scene. That's awesome. Rose likes that scene.
Rose, I don't mean to cut you off Clockwork, but what does Frank do to you?
I don't want to talk about it.
You can't open up the box, Rose.
Let's keep talking about the movie and not talk about me.
Frank says he needs a few more guys. Well, bodies, doesn't matter, but, So, Julia keeps bringing him these guys from the bar, pretty much, feeding them. And, he says that he has to get whole because they have to leave before the Cenobites find them. So he's planning on running away with Julia once he's all healed up and all. So, that's great. So, Frank starts saying how he can taste again and explains the box and the Cenobites to Julia, which I'm sure that probably creeped her out, or she either thought he was crazy, but then again, this whole thing's crazy. The way he looked, the way he came back, how he's feeding, all that stuff. So I guess she was just like, whatever. So Larry hears a noise upstairs and goes to check it out, but Julia stops him. And he says, alright, it's probably just a rat, because she doesn't want him to find Frank up there. So Julia and Larry are about to do it, have their little fun. But Frank comes out of the closet and cuts the skin off a rat, and Julia screams, "No, stop, no, no." And Larry and Kirsty have lunch to try to make friends with, get everything together. So Kirsty sees Julia take a man in the house and hears the guy scream. So Kirsty enters and makes her way upstairs, and she encounters Frank's, which there is his come to daddy scene. And Kirsty throws the box out the window and runs out, picks it up, and takes off.
Alright. Now, with the scene in the closet, with Frank coming out of the closet with the rat, that's a pretty fucking eerie scene.
Yeah, just a little bit.
And, when Kirsty gets the reveal of Frank, it's like her whole head's spinning, like she's in disbelief over it, how he looks and everything, and I just always found that pretty crazy, it's just everything about Frank, it's pretty creative.
Yeah, he was a weirdo of a guy, pretty much.
Yeah, he was
it's like he's so much different from his brother.
Yeah, he's they're polar opposites, Frank is a nympho. It's all about desires, and when he opened the box, that's what he wanted. Yeah, he wanted to reach the highest point he could, pleasure-wise.
Yeah, well, I hope he got that. So, with Kirsty running off, she ends up collapsing. So she wakes up in the hospital, and the doctor gives her the box and just walks out the room. So she's laying there, and she starts playing with the box and ends up opening it, and a doorway opens in the wall, just a random doorway, like a portal. So she goes in, she ends up getting chased by a scorpion-looking demon, but gets away.
I think they call it the engineer. That thing.
I have no idea.
You keep going on. I think that's what they call it. Either that or the dog in part 2, I can't remember.
Yeah, so the Cenobites come, and they're demons to some, angels to others. Take our pleasure. Frank Cotton escaped you, Kirsty claims, saying, she knows where she's at, she can get them for him, So they say they want to hear him confess, and if they're lying, we'll tear your soul apart. So Julia ends up confronting Larry, and, they get it on, but that's when Larry is already Frank, right?
Yeah.
So it's not going to help Kirsty much. So she's trying to explain to her dad, who she thinks is still her dad, about Frank and how he's up in the attic and all, but Frank is her dad now. So, she said that she's seen the Cenobites, and the Cenobites want the man responsible for this, which is Frank. And Kirsty ends up scratching Frank. Frank tries to stab Kirsty, but he ends up stabbing Julia instead, and drains her, and says, "Nothing personal, babe." Kirsty runs, and Frank hunts for her, but Frank ends up catching her. And Uncle Frank's here now. He says, "Don't mourn him. He was dead long ago," talking about his dad.
And
her
that's pretty
dad.
fucked up.
Yeah, don't mourn him. So the Cenobites end up showing up because here they caught him, pretty much saying how he escaped, how he is Frank. You know, so they caught him. They were listening the whole time. So they end up hooking him up. And Julia opens the box. And we have such sights to show you.
I gotta say one thing about the Cenobites. They are so creative. Like,
Yeah.
I've always wondered where Clive Barker got this
The design
vision
for
of
him.
all the Cenobites, like Pinhead, the Chatter, Butterball, and the girl, the lady Cenobite.
Yeah.
And I mean, in this they don't have the names; they're all by number.
Yeah.
But oh god, there's so good in it.
Yeah, and the makeup effects are awesome. The blood effects are awesome. Costumes are awesome.
I think they said this was a very low budget film too, wasn't it?
Yeah, and look at what they got done with that.
Because I remember he was rumored to have said that he wanted to remake the original Hellraiser because he had more money now and he wanted to do everything that he wanted to do back then. And even for it being such a low budget that he kind of financed himself, I mean, it's a great horror movie.
Oh yeah. Without a doubt, from everything to the Cenobites' design, to the concept of the story, I mean, if you really dig deep into this story, the concept of hell is fascinating. It's like, I've always been intrigued by it because of this movie, how many depths there is to hell, and each person has their own personal hell. And then the lament configuration being the boss that is the gateway to hell. Like, open the portal, like, it's so unbelievable. And Doug Bradley's delivery as Pinhead, and they're not coming for me, don't worry about that sound in the background. His delivery as Pinhead, to this day, I don't think they could have picked a better actor for that role.
I have to agree.
I just believe Doug Bradley was born to play that part.
Yeah, he did great.
And Kirsty, as a scream queen, she is honestly one of the most overlooked ones. Because I think she, you know...
Yeah, no one gives her credit.
Yeah, you really felt her emotions in this movie. Like, if anything, I'd put her right up there with, like, Jamie Lee. Honestly.
I don't know about that.
Between this movie and the second one, I think she's right up there. Just my opinion, though.
Okay, so my rating for Hellraiser is a 10, which a lot of people probably won't really get, but I say 10.
I also have to go to 10. I love everything about this movie, the story, the imagery. I can't talk about this movie enough. I really enjoy it.
One of my favorite lines from this movie is actually...
Come to daddy.
No.
Oh, okay.
You asshole. Is, in fact, the very first line of the movie where, you know, Frank is getting a box and the guy that sells it to him says...
What is your pleasure?
No. It's yours. It always was. So it's like this movie opens up a whole different thing in your mind about hell and pleasure and pain and the lengths that people will go just to feel things, something other than real life itself. You know, when you have someone who's like Frank, who's been through everything, you know, he was just looking for something new. And this whole franchise kind of started off with that whole thing, like, you know, the pain for pleasure kind of stuff. And it just opens up your mind to a lot of things that you never really thought of before. So, with that being said, I have to say that I give it a 10 also. Just for that fact, it's totally different than any other horror movie.
Yeah, even in
that's
87
out.
it still was. Even now, it's still different than stuff that's out there.
Right, I mean...
Very different.
The stories that go with it, I mean, it's just stuff that really makes you think, like, you know, this is different things that people are into, you know?
Yeah.
Everyone has their own personal hell, but at the same time, you have to kind of think about it, like, is it really their hell, or is it their heaven, you know? Because Frank was into, you know, just when he was saying about his brother and then him, you know, they're two different people. What he was into, someone like his brother would totally think it's disgusting and, you know, everything else. Yeah.
Well, that to me, like, what Pinhead says pretty much sums it up. Angels to some, demons to others.
Right.
And in a way, Frank, like, yeah, I mean, in part 2, they go more into Frank's hell. Mm-hmm. And in a way, you could see how, as, like, his angel, like, his demon, you know, like, his good and evil, you know? Mm-hmm. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
I love a movie that can make you think.
Right. And that's exactly what this one does. It opens up your mind to...
It opens the box.
It opens the box and it opens your mind to a lot of different things and feelings and, you know.
Well, what was... Angry Al came in at what,
Angry
8?
Al was 8. 8.
Which, you know, not... And I'm sure she has her reasons, but all she gives us is her ratings, which I could... Look, with the box, the little electricity or whatever coming off of it, I could understand. Some of the effects don't stand up.
It was low budget.
Yeah, but for the time it came out, top of the line. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's probably why I don't know. I didn't get to answer that. I found that a rating. I'm not going to defend it. I think it's a 10. She thinks it's an 8.
Yeah. Alright. Well, we got some fun facts also for the movie. It took 6 hours to apply the prosthetic Cenobite makeup for Pinhead to Doug Bradley. So, that's like half of a day. Pretty much.
That's dedication right there.
The budget of the movie was $1 million. It earned about $20 million. And it was the directing debut of Clive Barker, who only made 2 short films before this. And the Chatterer and Butterball Cenobites had dialogue in the original script, but their makeup made coherent speech impossible, so their lines were given to the female Cenobite and to Pinhead, which helped to cement his reputation as the film's trademark character.
Like it like that anyway. They're really fucking creepy, and she does well also as Pinhead's counterpart, you know?
Sidekick.
Yeah, when she's
she
coming
does
up
well.
the steps with that fucking hook.
Yeah.
And the wall's bleeding from the hook.
She says something
her lines, like...
Yeah, where do you think you're going? We're just getting started, or something like that, she says.
Yeah, the Butterball is creepy just looking, and Chatterer is especially creepy, so I think it's better that they don't talk.
Well, Butterball kind of reminds me of, like, one of the 7 deadly sins. What is it, gluttony?
Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of reminds me of that. Like, that's his hell, like... I've heard someone say this, like, they have food in front of them and they can't eat it. But, like, the Chatterer, like... God, they're just fascinating to me, the design of them.
Yes. Also, the film's based off the novel The Hellbound Heart, which was written by Clive Barker, and that's also what he wanted the title the movie, but the movie studio thought that it would sound like a romance. Surprise on date night.
Yeah.
Yeah. You opened it, we came.
Let's go see this romantic comedy.
The Hellbound Heart.
But one thing you just said, his budget was $1 million.
Yep.
And he made $20 million off of it.
Yep.
He made $19 million off of his directing debut.
Yep.
Had they stuck with Clive Barker for the sequels and had him direct,
and kept his vision, it probably would have been awesome.
when people talk about the big three, it's mainly Friday 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Halloween. This would be up there. To me, there's like a big 6 or 7, honestly, in my opinion. I don't count this out. Even if you just take the first movie, which is probably the best, it can stand up to any one of them horror heavyweights.
Yeah, it's true. Very true. Okay. The notable mentions, obviously, are the countless sequels to Hellraiser. I would stick with the ones closest to part 1 if I was you, though.
They're all available right now on Netflix, though. The whole entire Hellraiser franchise.
And they're also on YouTube and Hulu, but like
Just the
Raging
first
Bros
one's
said,
on YouTube.
on Netflix, they
On
have
Hulu.
all of them.
Yeah, Hulu does too, I believe. But like Chrissy said, I really have a love for 2. 2 is right up there.
I like 2 also.
Yeah, and for a future episode, we'll come in with a rating for that. But 2 is right there with part 1, I think.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yes, yes.
And after that, it's a slow decline. But
Well, we're going to go into our listener reviews of the movies that we reviewed today.
well, I guess do you want me to go into a clockwork, or do you want to do it? I mean, you're hosting.
Our listeners' ratings, Sleepaway Camp fan page gave Texas Chainsaw Massacre 10 and Hellraiser an 8. Ricky Hayes gave Texas Chainsaw Massacre a 10 and Hellraiser a 7. What?
What's up with that, bro? Come on.
David Homan gave Texas Chainsaw Massacre a 10 and Ricky Milligan gave Hellraiser a 6. Terrible.
Ricky, I think you need to go back and rewatch Hellraiser. I've said that already to you.
Yes, yes, yes. And you can also follow us on social media. I'm going to throw that in there. Our Facebook is Harris Horror. Our Twitter is @HarrisHorror. And our Instagram is Harris Horror Hour.
And for the Facebook, you're going to have to send us a friend request because some dickhead took our name on Facebook for our fan page. So we might get around to creating one. We'll see.
Yes. So let's jump to our verses. So our verses for this week is Dr.Decker from Nightbreed and Dr.Channard from Hellraiser 2. Bloodbath Bobby, who was your pick?
Well, I went with Dr.Decker on this one.
I went with Dr.Channard.
And I'm undecided because I have not seen Nightbreed yet. So, I'm undecided. So let's go to the fight.
Listeners around the world, are you ready for this dream of Barker's creation?
Oh, that's a good question. Here's the answer.
Introducing first. This subject has killed several families on his journey to gain eternal life. This is Dr.Decker.
Quite an answer. Death everywhere and you and me in the middle.
And Dr. Did you? And this man is the founder of Channard Institute and used his patients to explore the Levant configuration until finally becoming one of the live cenobites himself. This is Dr.Channard.
I'm your doctor. I'm here to help you.
No, I'm death. Plain and simple.
I recommend amputation.
Are you saying he's dead?
Breed is terminal.
And your winner, Dr.Channard.
Okay, well, Dr. Channard won the verses, so what are your guys' thoughts on that?
Well, all I can say is, when I was young, I was deathly afraid of Dr.Decker. And there's plenty of reasons why, and that's why you should watch Nightbreed. It's definitely an underrated movie. It deserves so much more love than it gets. But Dr. Channard is just he's just so much more sinister. And just for those few minutes that he was in part 2, you know, hooked up with the thing, it was terrifying. I mean, there's one scene where Kirsty and Tiffany run into the room trying to get away from him, and they actually run behind Pinhead and the other Cenobites because they're so scared of him as that they actually run behind them to protect them, you know, and that part just blows my mind because the whole movie they're running from them and then they go near them for, you know, safety.
Alright, well, so that's your defense, that
My-
he's so evil that they hid behind the evil they were running from the whole time.
It's not just that. I mean, he seems like the kind of person who he was obsessed with the box and with everything, all the elements of it and stuff, and for a very long time. And it's just that when he got that power, it just, boy, did he use it, you know?
Alright, well, here's my debate. I picked Dr.Decker, as we heard before we went into it. I picked Decker because, okay, Dr. Channard, when he became a Cenoblade, the Doctor Cenoblade, he was hooked up from, I think they call it a phallic cord, the thing in his head.
Right.
And Leviathan controlled him.
Uh-huh.
Okay, my case is that Doctor, he was a serial killer before he became immortal from,
Yeah.
what's his name? The god where they all got the, you know, became immortal. It was something with a D. I can't remember his name. And I just watched it. God forbid. But Decker is controlled by Leviathan, so he's going to do what Leviathan
No,
wants.
Channard.
Channard, sorry. Channard is controlled by Leviathan through the phallic cord. Decker is working at his own will. That's why I think if Leviathan didn't want Decker dead, it wouldn't happen. If Decker wanted to kill Channard, it's going to happen. That's my argument. But Channard won. To me, I know we did, Leprechaun versus Chucky. That was kind of 50-50. The Strangers, your nose, kind of seesaw. I thought this was, in my opinion, the most evenly matched and hardest for me to pick. This last verse.
It was also for me because, like I said, when I was young, when I first saw Nightbreed, I was very young. I was like maybe 12 or 13. And, you know, that's when horror movies still scared the crap out of me. Dr.Decker really put that fear in my heart right from the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
You know, when he's breaking into people's houses and killing entire families. That shit scared me.
Yeah, that part is very creepy.
But now as an adult, I give it to Channard because now I understand the whole concept of, you know, everything that happens in Hellraiser. When you're young and you watch it, you don't really get it. When you get older, you understand it. And I feel that right now, he's the winner of this.
Well, you and all the voters out there saw it that way. But we want to thank everyone that voted. And once again, you can find us on Facebook by sending us a friend request at Harris Hour on Facebook. On Twitter, you can follow us at Harris Horror. And on Instagram, you can follow us at Harris Horror Hour. And Clockwork, you want to close out the show?
Yes, I want to thank everybody for listening, and our Halloween show will be coming up later this month. It is going to be The Overlooking Well.
And that is Clockwork's Picks.
Yes, two of my favoriteest movies that I can watch repeatedly. Silence of the Lambs and Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. And our top 5 for that episode is going to be our top 5 Michael Myers kills. So we need to have multiple Halloween marathons to get down to just 5 kills.
The
just
nitty
5.
Gritty.
The for sure nitty gritty.
And don't be afraid to leave your comments on anything. Your ratings on these movies, your top 5 kills. We'll try to mention everyone that voted.
I'm excited for the kills.
Yeah.
But you want to let her close it out real quick?
Yeah. Good.
That's it?
Yeah.
See you next time?
Yep, see ya on Halloween.
Stupid.